Okay, bet. Oh, this will be part 2 of What If Izuku Was a Belmont. Well, shit, hold on. Let me introduce myself again. Hello, everyone. This is AJ the One, for whoever in God's name watches this. I'm trying to get this channel off the ground. Please like, subscribe, share, even. And, yeah, we might as well just get this started. How's your day going? I'm doing well. Anyway, so I left off on Izuku and, Uraraka beating, Ida and Bakugo in the practical test. So after this point, the whole, Izuku wouldn't be, elected for class president. The person that would be elected would be, I would feel like it would officially be Ida and Momo this time. And then when it's the, people at UA are freaking out because the gates are broken and the alarm goes off, Ida will just basically cement himself as the class president. Anyway, so after this point, we would just basically move on to the USJ. Okay. Basically, from this point of moving on, we would basically cut to the bus when Class 1A and Izuku are just basically sitting out on the bus. Let's see. I'm tired. Got a headache too. So I'm sort of out of it right now. Basically on the bus, everybody will be talking about each other's quirks and who has the strongest. Izuku's quirk would be the most talked about since it's not really the most practical, or some would say even useful. But Izuku has found a way to utilize it and plus through other means. Like, his whip and his sword. But another quirk that would be mostly talked about would be Todoroki's and Mirko's. Mirko's quirk is sort of odd. It's more just, it's a similar mutation, but not one that they mostly have seen. Froppy, or more unique in a way. As Froppy basically just has a long tongue, and she sort of has facial features of a frog. Mirko would just simply have bunny ears. That's about it, and also the strength in her legs is also something else. But after Suyu basically sort of clears up on how her and Mirko's quirks are very similar, on how they take up a multitude of properties of the animals that they're based off of. So that would explain the tail that she would have, the ears and other such. So after a little while, the conversation will continue on quirks and who's the strongest. Right now, the dated strongest would technically be out of Izuku, Todoroki, and Katsuki. But then after a little while, Mirko would be brought up because for her test, I remember Hagakure was on Todoroki's team, was on the team with Ojiro, and Todoroki basically just froze the entire building. And also since the fact that her hair is white, I'm assuming that she would be based off of a winter rabbit. So I feel like she would be able to handle those temperatures and maybe even break out of the ice and help Ojiro out. So they would do a little bit better than in canon when they would just get completely frozen. So yeah, I feel like Izuku. Izuku would just not Izuku. Damn. Mirko will also shown off her strength as well, and basically be put up there in the either a physical strongest or the strongest of the class. She will be up there, but not at the very top, of course. That would be given to Todoroki or Bakugo. And Izuku will be number 3, and Mirko will basically just be number 4. And then everybody else just basically falls into place. And after a little while, Izuku and Mirko will begin chatting. Basically almost what's the way to put it? They would basically have a conversation about. Basically, Mirko was asking if Izuku has any demons in his house. Like if he has any corpse of monsters or any other such in his house. I was about to ask like on the architecture of Izuku's house, but fuck it, bluntly. She's asking if Izuku got any demons in that hole. Izuku was, as this would be most of their conversation, just Mirko being so fascinated of Izuku's family heritage or family, because he's a Belmont. So after a little bit of more conversation between Izuku and Mirko, and throughout the rest of the class, they would finally go to the USJ. When they would get there, things would mostly play out the same. 13 would show up. Uraraka will explain, or would it be explain or expel? I guess expel her excitement of seeing 13, and 13 will be giving her speech. After a little while, Kirigiri would still pop up and throw in the villains. Kirishima would still say the same thing. What do you say? Something about like fake villains. Aizawa points out those aren't fake villains and tell 13 to keep the kids safe. So basically, because of this, not because of this. So during this process, damn, I don't know why I'm starting over words. My vocab, it's clumbering over itself today. But basically, Aizawa would tell 13 to protect the kids. Tell the kids to protect the kids after Aizawa would run down the stairs to go fight the villains. By the time Aizawa got to the bottom of the stairs to begin fighting villains, Kirigiri would pop up at the top of the to where all the students are. Ida would still run past him, and Bakugo and Kirishima would still try to attack Kirigiri. Also, something else: Izuku's outfit, or his hero outfit, will not be destroyed, so he still will have all his utensils on him. So he still will have, and he has also refilled his vial, so he would still have 4 holy waters, his axe, and his sword, and of course his whip. So basically, soon as Kirishima and Bakugo would try punching Kirigiri, and they would just phase right through him, Izuku would just immediately run up and throw holy water on top of Kirigiri. He would just grab one of the vials and throw one at Kirigiri. As well, at this point, Kirigiri would basically... Now, I don't know how it would actually affect Kirigiri, because it would still touch him and that would still affect him. But we don't know what Kirigiri has really done to be counted as evil or committed as a sin. I would assume that Kirigiri has killed people before, or at least has attempted to, or harmed people, harmed people. So I would assume it would just burn like you were set on fire and gasoline was over top of you as you got set on fire. Boom. That would be the best way to describe what Kirigiri is feeling. So, after this point, Kirigiri would screech in pain as he would slightly back up from the students. And talking about the 13... Alright, damn. Well, yeah, shit, that means 13 would be down at this point because Bakugo and Kirishima was still attacking him, and he did this by the time 13 was fucked up. So after this point, the students, or not the students, Mirko would basically begin to take charge and basically just yell at everybody to try and run out of the door. Actually, shit, no, I don't think Mirko would tell them to run out the door. Mirko would tell everybody to run down the steps to try and help Aizawa. Some people would disagree to this, and they would argue amongst themselves for too long, as well. The time that Kirigiri has backed up from getting splashed with Izuku's holy water, Kirigiri would quickly come back, or not even say anything. As he would just basically lash out at the students, launching them to different places in the air, different places in the USJ. When Izuku would wake up, he would basically see himself. When Izuku would when Izuku would wake up, he would end up finding himself falling falling. Shit, would it just be falling in midair? Yeah, he would just find himself falling or plummeting towards the earth. As Izuku would realize that he's in the rock slide zone after not having much of a comfortable landing. He would realize that he, as he would look around to take in his surroundings, as he would realize that he's not the only one here, as he would not only see Mirko in the distance, but also see villains very close to him. One of the villains would end up spotting Izuku and yelling at the others to go get the girl, as a few more would end up following him to get Izuku, as this is when confrontation would begin. Izuku and Mirko would basically just make quick work of the villains, as Izuku using the holy waters from his skin, or from his pores, to basically try to keep the villains at bay, and then also using his whip as well. As no villains would really be able to get in close without Izuku just whipping them or somehow splashing them with holy water. That's not in vials. So after a little while, Izuku and Mirko would end up meeting up, as there would still be a few more villains left that would be coming after them. So Izuku and Mirko would decide to team up to try and fight the villains off, as it would go very effectively. Mirko would tell Izuku that they make a pretty good team, and when they become heroes, maybe they should team up. Izuku will simply just say, yeah, we do. But for right now, let's try to go around and help everybody else. As Mirko would agree, as they would run off. I think the rock slide zone was close to like the waterfall zone or the storming area. It was like the waterfall or storming. I must say that they would go to the storming area, as when they would be in there, they would see Tokiyami just fighting off a plethora of villains. And after a little while, Mirko and Izuku will quickly jump in to help him as well. And after this point, they would just basically go around in a circle, constantly helping others out. As eventually in the center, that helping others out and quickly leading them to the stairs, as they would see Kirishima, Bakugo, and Todoroki all trying to fend off the Nomu. As soon as Izuku and Mirko would get everybody back up to the steps they would get them back up to the steps, as Izuku would basically tell Mirko to help Froppy and Mineta help with Aizawa, as Froppy and Mineta would already be halfway up the steps. As Mirko would be confused and ask what he was gonna do, as he told her that he was gonna go and help out them. Go help out everybody else with the Nomu. As Izuku would not say a thing, as he would leave the rest of the group that they've gathered to go help out Katsuki, Todoroki, and Kirishima. When Izuku would make it over there, when Izuku would make it over there, he would immediately throw a whip at the villain's eye to try and gouge it out, which Izuku would successfully do. Nobody on any side really saw this coming, but, actually, no. Izuku would have actually evaluated before he did anything, as Izuku would realize that the white-haired guy with all the hands on his face, or Shigaraki, is basically giving the Nomu orders. So Izuku would realize if he took him out, then he would take this guy out. So Izuku quickly runs over to the Nomu. When at the Katsuki hits it with a giant explosion, as Izuku would jump up and sort of like jump up and lunges whip forward to gouge out the Nomu's eye. And as soon as he gouged out the Nomu's first eye, as soon as he landed onto the ground again, he would draw a sword, jump up, and then stab the Nomu in the other eye. It may be dull, but swing with enough force, you'll be able to cut something. So after this point, Izuku pull out his sword, throw the blood on the ground. Oh no, shit! I don't think the Nomu even had blood. So yeah, he would just pull out his sword and realize that the Nomu didn't have blood. So he would just simply just sheath his sword back and relay that the Nomu is most likely a creature, or most likely a quirked creature and not an actual person. So they can go all out on it. From them hearing this, Kirishima wouldn't go all out, but Todoroki and Bakugo definitely would. As I think Kirishima would be not too soft in a word, but Kirishima would definitely be like, it still looks enough like a human, so I'm not gonna do that. As Izuku would run over to try and take out to try to attack Shigaraki, Kirigiri would end up appearing in front of him and try to open up a portal. Before Izuku could fully run in, he would realize what was going on and pull out another vial and basically throw it at Kirigiri, or basically at the base of the portal where Kirigiri was, so it would still hit Kirigiri. Kirigiri would get hit with the holy water, sending Izuku would throw holy water at the base of Kirigiri's portal, and causing Kirigiri to back up. When this would happen, Izuku would simply just run past Kirigiri, as Kirigiri was basically in fear of the holy water, so he would back up, not wanting to get hit by it. But as soon as Izuku ran past him, Kirigiri would try to turn around, but Izuku would end up throwing a vial at Kirigiri. Would basically end up throwing a vial at Kirigiri's face. By happen chance, Izuku would end up hitting Kirigiri's metal sword, just make physical contact with him, so it would basically almost be quote unquote inside of him. Or yeah, it would basically just be inside of him. So after this point, after throwing the vial, Izuku would turn around to see Shigaraki running at him at top speed. Izuku would end up wrapping up his whip on his waist and pulling out his would end up pulling out his sword. Soon as Shigaraki would try to soon as Shigaraki would throw the palm to touch Izuku would quickly throw the sword to cut Shigaraki's hand. After this point, from how it looks, Shigaraki isn't the nicest person, from what he can tell. So Izuku knows if he hits him with a vial of holy water, he'll basically just take him out instantly. So Izuku will end up throwing the holy water at Shigaraki. As soon as this would happen, Shigaraki would end up throwing his palm forward to basically catch it. As soon as this would happen, the glass around the holy water would basically begin to decay. But as soon as the glass would burst, Shigaraki would feel all the pain on his hands as he would quickly drop it, not paying attention. Izuku, seeing this, realizing it must be his quirk, as he must have to touch something or be in some form of contact with it to make it decay. So Izuku would immediately sheath his sword, pull his whip out again, and then start basically to zone Shigaraki as he would pull out his whip and constantly just hit Shigaraki and try to push him back. And after a few seconds of Kirigiri finished, or a little while after Kirigiri finished writhing in pain, he would quickly rush over to Shigaraki to try and help him. As it would basically just be Shigaraki and Kirigiri versus Izuku, and as it would be basically a tied match, as Kirigiri couldn't really do much, but Shigaraki was basically the main power. So Kirigiri was basically just teleporting Shigaraki around Izuku to try and get him to touch him. But every time Izuku would have some counter to this, like his throwing axe and pulling out his sword really fast, or just whipping around himself. But after a second, Kirigiri would just get the bright idea to create a portal under Izuku's legs. So basically Kirigiri would create a portal for Shigaraki to come out the other side. Shigaraki would come out the other side and try to go towards Izuku, and Izuku would of course end up dodging it and hitting Shigaraki. Izuku's bottom half would end up, Izuku's bottom half would end up falling from a portal that was under him, that was created by the first portal that Shigaraki fell through. So Izuku would fall through the bottom half of the portal, as the other half of his legs would basically end up peering out. As soon as this would happen, Shigaraki would try to swing at Izuku. Izuku will quickly throw another slash with his sword as his hands are still out of the portal. But as soon as this would happen, another portal coming from the first portal, so it would sort of be like strings that would come up from the portal and then create another portal. So that's how the second portal was made, or that's how the other portals were made. So basically, Izuku would slash at Shigaraki. So Izuku would basically slash at Shigaraki, and when this would happen, Kirigiri would make a portal in front of Shigaraki's hand to teleport it behind Izuku's head, as soon as Izuku did the full slash to basically counteract Shigaraki. Soon as this would happen, Shigaraki's hand would be only inches away from Izuku's head until Mirko came in with, I think it's called a lunar kick, as it's basically just a split somersault kick in the air. She would end up hitting Shigaraki's hand off, basically breaking it, as Shigaraki pulled his hand out of the portal, as he would back up, as he would jump back, as Kirigiri would begin to close all the other portals. Izuku would quickly pull himself out of the portal before the portal closed, that he would basically be killed. As soon as this would happen, Izuku would hop out of the portal, getting himself fully back together again. No Humpty Dumpty. As Mirko said, "See, you couldn't do it on your own." As Izuku would just simply Izuku would just simply look over blankly and say, "I had it under control." As Mirko would simply roll her eyes, saying, "Sure." She would tell him, as Izuku would just say whatever and tell her that they need to finish off these two before they can fully stop the Nomu. Mirko not being the brightest or the sharpest tool in the shed, she would basically not question Izuku at all and basically just go with the plan to fight these two. As now making it a fair fight, it actually wouldn't be, too hard. For Mirko and Izuku, at least. For Toma and Shigaraki, they're struggling. And after a little while, Mirko will end up getting Kirigiri pinned like how Bakugo would, and Izuku will end up pinning Shigaraki the same. As soon as Izuku will basically put like his knees on top of Shigaraki's back, and both of his arms will Izuku will basically have Shigaraki laying on the ground with his arms spread out and his knees on top of his arms, so Shigaraki can't decay anything besides the floor. So Izuku with both of his hands free will end up grabbing the back of Shigaraki's hair, lifting his head up and putting a sword to his throat. Izuku demanding that he call the bird thing off to stop her to get away from his classmates. But as soon as this would happen, Shigaraki would simply just yell at the Nomu to come and help him. The Nomu immediately turning around to see this, he would tell Mirko to basically try to knock out the mist guy and help him over here. As Mirko would be confused on what he needed to do, but she would just punch the metal really hard, not really knocking out Kirigiri, but basically just stunning him. As soon as this would happen, Mirko would run over to Izuku, as Izuku would quickly get off of would basically wrap Shigaraki up in his whip and his hand, and would basically just So yeah, he'll basically wrap up Shigaraki and then basically throw him at Mirko for Mirko to catch. Mirko would be confused, but as soon as this would happen, the big scene. Okay. Oh shit! Wait. Okay. Mirko would be Izuku would basically just end up getting smacked by the Nomu, so the Nomu could get past Izuku to run towards Shigaraki. Soon as this would happen, Izuku would almost immediately get back up as the Nomu's was prime focus was to get to Shigaraki. Izuku was in his way, but not too much, so it didn't like full on smack the hell out of him. So it was just like damn. So Izuku would quickly get up and yell at them while it's distracted. They attack it. Todoroki and Kirishima would simply just agreed, and Bakugo would tell Midoriya, don't tell him what to do. As soon as the Nomu got close to Mirko, Mirko would end up sort of just throwing Shigaraki back to Izuku. Izuku would catch it, as they would basically be playing keep away with Shigaraki with a Nomu. Shigaraki would be getting severely pissed off as he's basically just getting tossed around. Sometimes Izuku or Mirko would even drop him and let him hit the ground. But after a little while, Todoroki, Bakugo, and Kirishima would be dealing deadly blows to the Nomu, as they almost ended up killing it, as they will almost end up killing it a multitude of times, but it would regenerate. As none of them would think to go for the head. I guess they all was Thor. And I just made that old ass joke. As basically and after a little while, the Nomu, not the Nomu, Kirigiri would, same difference. Kirigiri would basically be getting up from his short nap as he would see Tomura just getting thrown around. As soon as Mirko would throw Tomura towards Izuku, Kirigiri would make a portal and where Shigaraki was gonna land as Shigaraki would fall through it. Shigaraki would fall at the other side next to Kirigiri as Shigaraki would basically be berating Kirigiri, saying that it took him too long to help him. Kirigiri would simply just apologize. As soon as Kirigiri would help Tomura get out of the whip, Shigaraki would just look Izuku dead in the eyes and decay the whip, as he would yell at the Nomu to kill the green-haired boy. As the Nomu would simply just look over at Izuku and rush at him. As Todoroki, Kirishima, and Bakugo will all try their hardest to keep the Nomu away, but the Nomu would just basically just blast and punch through them. Even Mirko would even try, but it wouldn't be too successful. As Izuku would simply just tell them that he's got this, as he would begin running away. After a little while, he would, as Izuku would have made up a plan. He would say soon as the Nomu jumped in the water after him, he would tell Todoroki to follow him. Soon as the Nomu and him jumped into the water, he would basically, as he's running away, he would be like, Todoroki, when me and this thing would jump into the water, I want you to jump in as well. Something like that. As soon as this would happen, Todoroki would basically be running after them as well. As Izuku would be a little bit faster. He would be faster, as the Nomu was basically just he's not full sprint running because Tomura basically just told him to kill him. He didn't say kill him as fast as possible or like run after him full speed. So he's just like moderately running. Not even Todoroki would end up passing him. So Todoroki would end up Todoroki would end up using his ice to pass him. And after a little while, he would end up. And after a little while, Todoroki would end up sort of be like, would be right next to Izuku as Todoroki would be riding his ice. And Izuku, after getting to the ledge of the water, Izuku would jump in. Todoroki just standing a few feet from where Izuku was to make sure he didn't get hit. So when the Nomu would jump in, Shigaraki being severely pissed, telling the Nomu to hurry up, as the Nomu would begin running faster, as Tomura not really caring about Todoroki or what plan Izuku had, he wouldn't tell the Nomu to kill Todoroki, as he would be severely pissed at Izuku for beating him up. Kirigira would normally advise something, but at this point, fuck it. Kirigira just doesn't. I'm not gonna say he doesn't care. Plot armor. That's why Shigaraki isn't saying all this smart shit. Plot. That's how. Anyway, where was I? Right. Right. Izuku would jump in the water and begin to swim down, and would begin to swim down to the bottom. Also, something else. The lake would have been frozen by Todoroki, so let me retcon that. He would ask Todoroki to make a hole for him before he ran over. So that's why Todoroki would get ahead of him. Todoroki would get ahead of him. He would quickly use his fire quirk to melt the hole. He wouldn't freeze the entire lake. He would only freeze the surface and the villains on top of it. So Izuku will end up jumping in. The Nomu will end up jumping in as well, breaking the rest of the ice that Izuku had felt. So it would be like a small hole for Izuku, but the Nomu would just jump in and break the ice past it. Izuku would basically be swimming down to the bottom of the to the bottom of the lake, and also Todoroki would jump in shortly after the Nomu, only like a second after him. So as soon as this would happen, Izuku would be swimming to the bottom of the lake, as the Nomu would be catching up really fast. After Izuku and the Nomu would get to the bottom of the lake, and Todoroki would be not too far behind them, Izuku will basically just let the Nomu the Nomu would try to throw a punch at Izuku while underwater. Izuku, being a very superior swimmer to the Nomu, will quickly move out of the way. As Izuku would just yell underwater, he would be saying freeze him, as the Nomu wouldn't obviously not be paying attention to anybody else, as Todoroki would have basically just sneaked up behind him, touched his back, and would freeze him underwater, and the whatchamacallit in the water around him. So now it's almost like a little, sort of like a pillar of ice that the Nomu would be encased in. As Izuku will basically swim with the Todoroki, thicker. As I would say, it would be around a foot thick of ice. As Izuku and Todoroki would quickly swim back up to the surface. As soon as they would both swim back up, everybody would mostly be astonished, as All Might would be already in there, as Tomura and Shigaraki would be leaving. All Might would get there. After a little while, All Might would basically be checking up on the students, and the rest of the heroes would get there with Ida. After that, paramedics and blah blah blah. As I would say, reporters would be there as they would begin asking some kids on what happened. I would say the only few people that would actually say what Izuku did would be Mirko, Todoroki, and Aoyama. The reason for Aoyama is because, like, I feel like it would be something like, I sparkled, all I did was sparkle, but someone who shined sparklier than me, some shit like that, was Izuku. As he would basically be like, Izuku, blah, 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 blah. So basically, while on the news that the USJ got attacked, it would basically be like, and also Izuku Midoriya, the quote-unquote genius of the battlefield, had basically had figured out a plan to beat the villain. Izuku would try to be questioned, but he wouldn't go for it. He would just let that shit go. Don't want to do sports festival. It's already been a little bit. Fuck it. Okay. So after a little while, Ezekiel would end up going to school for lunch the next day. I just know, right? Yeah, They would get a day off. Damn. During this day off, Ezekiel would basically explain to his mom that, like, sort of lost his wit. As Mirko would, not Mirko, damn. Also, I've been saying Mirko the whole time. Her name is Rumi, like Rumi Yasuguchi. I know. I said last time I was searching for her name. Never got to that one. But basically, Ezekiel would get home, and as he would basically tell Inko that he lost his whip. Inko would ask how, very confused on how the hell do you lose a whip. As then Ezekiel would explain what happened. Inko would turn on the news. She would, I didn't know that happened. Are you okay, Izuku? As a little while after watching it, her worry would eventually turn into proudness. I don't know if that's the right word. Pride is though. Pride's though definitely the right word. But she'll be feeling immense pride on the fact that Izuku basically figured out a way to stop the Nomu. While Inko and Izuku are walking throughout their giant mansion, it would be around like a 5-minute walk from one side of the mansion to the other side, and then proceed into the basement. As Izuku basically explained everything, that the thing couldn't die, it regenerated, so Izuku decided to freeze it. Or Izuku decided to get help to freeze it. My bad for the pauses. I'm either A, drinking water, or B, stopping the thing. So, after a little while of explaining it, Inko would basically end up opening up a chamber and would basically lead Izuku down into the Belmont relics. Down there would just be either a plethora of books, some paintings of monsters, a ginormous painting of Dracula, Alucard, and Richter. And then after that, under all of them would be like weapons or things that they were remembered by. Under what is his name? Under Dracula would be like a coffin standing up. Under Alucard and on the front of the coffin, I don't know, would be like a cross or some shit. For Alucard, it would also be a coffin, and it would be a sword on it, and then under Richter would be a chain whip. Ezekiel will basically be standing in front of it in shock, thinking that his mom was gonna give him that, as his mom would basically end up, as it would look like his mom was gonna walk over to grab it, but as she's walking over to be in front of the painting, she will quickly take a sharp turn and continue walking. Ezekiel would be confused and look over there as he would see another large painting, as it would be a man with blonde hair and a very rough looking face, as it would be Simon Belmont. I don't know a lot about Simon. I don't know which game of Castlevania he was in. But far as we know, he's definite. I think he died in it, didn't he? He either died or he wasn't important enough to be let down in history. One of those. But important enough in the Belmont family where they would put up his portrait, which they did, but not as big as Alucard's, Dracula's, and Richard's. Why is Dracula up there when Dracula was their main enemy? Just to hold some form of respect for him. Alright? But anyway. Anyway. Ink would basically end up walking in front of Simon's Simon wouldn't have a coffin. Simon would be the same thing. He would have just a chain whip right there. He would just have a family Belmont chain whip. Ezekiel sort of look confused as wouldn't he either just get Richard's or his own chain whip? As as Inko would basically look back at Izuku and tell him to follow her. They would basically end up walking down not this corridor, but like a hall of sorts. The only reason I consider it a hall or sort of an aisle of books because it's like rows of bookshelves, other things of like chests, maps, and other such. So they're sort of and down the very last aisle, all the way to the right, would just be sort of like an aisle. On the left side, it would be books. On the right side, it would be portraits of former Belmonts. It would be a ginormous amount of portraits. Like every 5 steps, Izuku would see a portrait and a chain whip under it. As they're walking in there, Inko would basically be explaining that every Belmont gets their own chain whip, their own axe. Now I don't think about the axe, but every Belmont gets their own chain whip after they're highly experienced fighting with it, or at least have been experienced enough to even use it. As Inko was continuously walking down the corridors or down the aisle, she would continue explaining that Izuku is not skilled enough to get his own chain whip. But because he does not yet have a whip, Simon's will be done well enough. As they're walking, Izuku would also be looking at every painting he sees, as he would eventually end up seeing his grandfather. Then after that, it would be 2 more portraits. Actually, no. And after his grandfather, he would end up seeing Inko, but there would be no chain whip under there because she isn't dead yet. And then after that, behind her would just be a blank canvas. Your time and my time has surely, as your time for a chain whip has not yet come. But the fact that you're in need of a whip, and well, I feel like this would be a good time to test that out. Here, you'll be using Simon's chain whip until further notice. Izuku would thank his mother, as Izuku would grab the chain whip, and he would basically go off to experiment with it. The reason why he's getting Simon's chain whip instead of getting a normal whip is like she said. Oh, also something else. I don't think I've talked about Izuku's sort of inspirations. Izuku would be heavily inspired by people like Aluk, like Simon and Richard and all other Belmonts. Because this is the place where he would spend most of his free time reading about his family. So because of that, his biggest inspiration would be Richard, the guy that, killed Dracula. But the reason for her giving him Simon is because she knows that he strongly admires all of the really famous Belmonts, and also so she would give him Simon's to begin with, and also because it's more like, I guess, a Belmont code of sorts, if you would call it that they need to be ready for their own chain whip. So because of that, she'll basically just be giving him Simon's almost sort of as a temporary gift. So because of this, Izuku will spend the next 2 days, training with the whip, as he would get very proficient in it. But as soon as this would happen, Izuku would go back to school, and he would find out about the sports festival. Everyone, wasn't like the sports festival in the same day as they were notified about it? I think. I don't remember if it was. If it was, then if it was, then shit than it was. So I'm gonna say that it was. It's in the same day. As soon as they would get to school early in the morning, they would be notified. Everybody else would do the same thing. No, it was a day before. They had a day off. Then they would go to class. They would do the rest of the day, and they would do the rest of the day they would have a day off. Then the rest of the day will be spent like normal school. Then the next day, I'm assuming that's when the sports festival happened. Damn, I don't know why I struggle with talking. Whew. So basically, we would skip to the day of the sports festival, and Izuku would end up talking to some of the people at UA on how can he use his whip, his sword, and his axe, and also his holy water. They would say the only way for Izuku to use his holy water is like everybody else using the quirk, so that means he cannot use the vials. Because not only A, he's throwing it at people and it's glass, and also B, it seems almost a little unnecessary when he could just sort of shoot it out. Not in a very good way, but they see it as good enough. And also something else, his holy water is similar to like how it is in Smash Bros. Like if he were to throw a vial of the holy water, it wouldn't be smoke that would come up from it. I don't think, at least. I don't know how the holy water works, but when he throws it to the ground, it would sort of shoot up like fire. Only when a person is hit by it, or only when it's on top of a person, it either gets the sustainability as liquid or as and it will also begin to smoke. So like if Izuku were to put it out of his pores, it wouldn't just look like a bunch of tiny flames. It would look almost like goo. But soon as it's met with like some form of force and velocity to it, it will sort of look like flames. So if Izuku were to like pull out a whip, rub his entire hand across it, covering it in holy water, he could like whip it forward, and it would just be and it would look like the entire whip is like encased in blue flames. Only when it's met with like velocity, so basically if it's moving fast enough, then it'll basically light up. But that out the way. So Izuku cannot use his vials. Izuku cannot use his sword or his axe, as the whip is slightly pushing it, so they get him like almost like a whip that can't cut through stuff. So like no matter how many times you would have hit somebody with it, it wouldn't cut their skin, but it would leave bruises and it would hurt. So Izuku would simply just have to settle for that. As training with a chain whip for the first time and then going to this Izuku doesn't feel insulted because they don't know, but it's like going back to kid stuff. Well, I guess this is to keep people safe, as Izuku would also have a wooden sword. And while this is basically happening, he would end up talking with Mina. To basically ask her a few things on how she uses her slime to basically move around, or not her acid to move around. She would tell Izuku that she has holes in the sole of her, or she's gonna wear her hero shoes to basically have holes at the bottom of the sole. She would have holes at the bottom of the shoe to basically leave as access holes for her to pour out her acid, so she can slip and slide. Izuku would think of this as a good idea, as he would basically before the sports festival would happen. Izuku will ask that to be added to his boots as it would happen, and Izuku will add on to his boots. Of course, the sports festival will be happening. Everybody will sort of be walking out to present themselves. Katsuki will still say the same things. Everybody else will still feel the same way. Something else. I forgot to mention that when all the kids came up to basically examine competition because of the sports festival, Monoma would talk crap to Izuku heavily, but Izuku wouldn't really care for it. So basically, as soon as Katsuki said that Monoma would sort of come up to Izuku, would basically start berating him some more. Look at you, look at 1A. Or look at the leading member of 1A being a douche as normal. I wonder if you all are like that. Oh, ho, 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 ho. He would walk away. No, he wouldn't. What do you think about that, Midoriya? Or should I say, young genius? Squirrely unbuilt ass Nick. As Izuku, and not Izuku, as Mirko would sort of look over and say, "What did you say?" As Monoma wouldn't really reply to her, as he would only be focused on Izuku, because the reason why Monoma acts the way he does to 1A is because he's basically jealous that he didn't get into 1A. And honestly, if you have a copy quirk and you didn't get into 1A, you're just bad. But anyway, Kenda will quickly walk over, not knocking him out, but basically notifying that they need to come on. They'll move away as the test would begin to start. The first thing, or as it would begin to start, Midnight would be up there. She would spin the wheel. She would say some shit about youth. She would spin the wheel. The first thing would be a race. The kids will go down to the starting doors, and the race would begin. Izuku would immediately be covered in ice, as he didn't expect this at all. He will quickly take out his wooden sword and start cutting at the ice, basically chipping away at it. And a little bit faster than everybody else, he will quickly break out of the ice and continue running. To put it into best ways, Izuku does a little bit. Izuku would still get first. Izuku would still do the same thing. But Izuku would be like a little bit faster. He would basically be running like a goddamn what's the way to put it? Again, another Smash Bros reference. Wonder why I'm really original. Basically how like the old Fire Emblem characters run, like Lucina, Roy, and Marth. I think those are the only 3 Fire Emblem characters that run with the tippy toes like that. I think those are the only 3 that all are basically the same. They all have critical hit. All their up Bs are basically the same, but Lucina and Marth's are better than Roy's. And I think Roy's neutral B is about the same as Ike's. But anyway, Izuku will sort of be running on tippy toes like that. As basically after a little while, Izuku will still be he'll be ahead of most people than he originally was in canon. So he would actually get first earlier. The reason for this, like I said, he's ahead of where Izuku originally was in canon. By the time he gets to Minefields, Todoroki and Bakugo are already I would say Mirko is probably up there with him as well, also running. But it would be like Bakugo, Todoroki, and Mirko are running up. They would be around halfway. Izuku would shoot up over them. He would get around quarter of the halfway. He would run. Actually, no. He would shoot up over them, get to the same spot, and they would finish first. As that's basically about it. He would just get there earlier. That's all I'm trying to say. He finishes the race the same way he does in canon. Everybody else makes it. I think other people who got really low just got cut out, right? No. That was for the relay, not the relay race, the fucking horse thing. As Midnight would basically spin the wheel, as it would land on the same thing. As the same thing would be explained about the headbands, Izuku would get the 10 million point headband, as everybody will be looking at him. As this is when Izuku's nerdiness sort of comes out. Izuku basically seeing a headband. It's all white. It may have numbers on it. That shit looking like rich for. It's like no. As Izuku will be getting sort of like, yes, I can be like him. Izuku will quickly just, and also Izuku would be in his UA thing. He wouldn't be in his hero outfit, of course. Nobody would. But Izuku would just take the the headband, wrap it around his head tightly, and then look up at everybody else with determination in his eyes. Some people will sort of be like, what? He's so determined. Or some random thing like that. Midnight would be weird, basically saying something about Izuku's youth as he would be staring forward. While Izuku would be walking around trying to look for anybody to be on his team, he would end up asking Rumi. He would end up trying to ask Rumi. She would basically tell him that they may be friends, but while they're doing a competition like this, they're enemies. So sorry, she won't be teaming up with him. The Ida would be the same way, and his team would be the same as Canon. As who did right? She replaced Hagakure. I don't remember whose team. Right, Hagakure was on the same team as Ojiro. I feel like Rumi and Ojiro would also be friends. So yeah, Rumi would be on their team. And yeah, that's about it. The same things would happen, but the same shit would happen. But the only change is when Todoroki and his team would try to reciprocal burst at Izuku. Izuku would basically decide to just like spin his whip fast as hell. No, that's a lie. Izuku would tell his team to charge forward, as Izuku was sort of like he would unravel his whip and grab the head of his whip. Actually, no, he would only grab it like halfway or something like that to his arm's length and sort of be pulling on both sides. As soon as Ida would reciprocal burst and rush towards Izuku almost getting some anime protagonist plot armor. Wonder why. Izuku would let go of the whip and hit, as Izuku would truly just swing with no real predicted spot. But as soon as this happened, Todoroki will also end up flinching. So he'll actually end up missing the 10 million headband. Only tearing, but he would still end up grinding against the headband, only simply just tearing it off, having it fall towards the ground. But as soon as this would happen, Bakugo and his team would be sort of blasting over for it, would be running over for it, and how far off it flew, it would basically be like even feet between them. Izuku would tell his team to turn around and charge quickly. They would be running towards as fast as they can. Tokiyami would try to use his to try and grab it, but Kirishima would just quickly run in the way and block it. Katsuki would end up jumping off using the explosions to get some edge, and Izuku would just be getting on top of his to jump forward and try and grab it himself. With Izuku having more range with the whip, Izuku will end up grabbing it, and Tokiyami and Dark Shadow will end up catching him. Katsuki will end up falling off of his horse. Katsuki will end up sort of being upset seeing this, as he will end up blasting off and landing back on his team. As Katsuki will end up yelling at Izuku to get back over here, as they would be running away, and Katsuki's team would be running after Izuku. As soon as this would happen, the horns would go off, and the would be announced as over. Izuku would have kept that 10 million throughout the entire match. Whew. After this point, the brackets are pretty much the same, but who was it? I don't think Hagakure was in the Hagakure was not in the because Ojiro quit. So who will Rumi be replacing? Because I don't think Ojiro would. I think Ojiro would still quit though. So yeah, I still think Ojiro will quit. I don't know, because like from what Ojiro said, he didn't feel like he did anything. So, or he felt like that he wasn't there for it. So, I would still think that Miracle would still be kicked off. Ojiro would end up apologizing for Rumi, as she would She would be upset, but she would understand. No, she wouldn't. She would be mad, but she just wouldn't wild out at him for it. Oh. Anyway, after this point, the brackets are pretty much the same. Ojiro will still warn Izuku about Shinso. Izuku would actually appreciate Ojiro's help and give him a thumbs up. Thanks for the advice. I'll use it, as Izuku would say, as he would sort of be waving his hand lazily back at Ojiro. After this point, the match would still start. Shinso would still be talking crap about Ojiro. Izuku would not give he wouldn't care at all. He would be talking the most crap about Ojiro. He wouldn't care because Ojiro told him to not speak. I don't know why Izuku said anything in canon. Like, you're getting mad for no reason. And then after that, proceeded to get carried by the fucking vestiges of One for All. What the hell? But anyway, Izuku wouldn't say anything as he would just simply just throw a sword at Shinso. And Shinso wouldn't be able to predict it or even realize it, as he would just get smacked in the face and as he would stumble back a little bit. Izuku would end up running over, throwing a whip at Shinso's face, hitting him in the nose again, making him back up more and more, and then would just run up and sort of just shoulder bash Shinso, sending him out the ring. As soon as that would happen, Shinso would try to say something to Izuku, as Izuku would just simply put out his hand up at Shinso up. Shinso would immediately begin to walk off, as Shinso would decline Izuku's hand by slapping it away, getting up himself and walking away. Izuku would simply just yell out, "Good game," or "Good match." You prick. He wouldn't say the "you prick" part out loud, but Shinso would still hear it as Shinso would sort of get mad, turn around, and begin to walk away. Midnight would end up saying that was a very odd and intriguing match. But anyway, they will continue forward. Rest of the matches will go the same. We're just going to move on to Izuku and Todoroki's match. To put it simply, Izuku would just get demolished. He has no real counteracting way to beat Todoroki. But I don't really want to end the video off as quick. So I'm gonna end up retconning something. I'm gonna say that Tsuyu and Mineta and Shoji will end up making it to the fighting thing. It'll be Shoji and Mineta. Shoji would win, of course, and it would be Tsuyu and Rumi. Rumi will be fighting Izuku after her match, and then whoever won that one will be fighting Todoroki, because Todoroki would still fight whatchamacallit, and I'm gonna say after that point he will also fight Shoji. So all of their brackets will be 4. So it'll be Izuku and Shinso, Rumi and Tsuyu, Shoji and Mineta, Todoroki and Sato. What is Tape Guy's name? Ain't it Sato? But yeah, basically be like that. Rumi would win her match, Shoji would win his match, he would go against Todoroki, he would lose, and Rumi will be going against Izuku. While in the break room, Rumi will basically end up walking up to Izuku, basically saying that she's gonna try her hardest out there, and Izuku she would say Izuku should as well. Izuku would sort of chuckle as like, yeah, sure. Merc would be oddly confused on what do you mean, yeah, sure? Why'd you say yeah, sure? Izuku would just sigh and look at Rumi. Rumi, listen. your quirk is really powerful and it's good, and you're very versatile and flexible with it, and physically strong. But I don't think you can beat me. I'll obviously lose to Todoroki. Todoroki would not make the same or rivalry towards Izuku. Todoroki wouldn't really do that to anybody besides Bakugo, and that was only lightly. Mirko sort of looked, not flabbergasted, but confused that Izuku would even say that. Like, what do you mean? As Izuku would say that, as Rumi would sort of be looking confused and stunned, like, do you not see me as a challenge? Are you challenging me? As Izuku would sort of be like, well, yeah, pretty much. Like, no offense when I say this, Rumi, you are powerful, but I don't think you would be able to defeat me. Even without my vials. And even without a real whip, Ezekiel would say as he would hold up his little... It's basically a fucking toy whip, honestly. It's made out of... I'm gonna just say rubber. Fuck it. Made out of really thin and cheap rubber. And the tips of it are just hair. Or maybe even cloth, honestly. But it still bends, though. Still bends really well. It wouldn't even have enough rubber or quote unquote serrating to do all that. To do any real significant damage. So it would still leave marks, like I said before, but it wouldn't be able to cut on anything. Again, like I said before. But anyway, Rumi would sort of stare at Izuku and say, with almost like anger in her eyes, and say like, fine then, Izuku, that's how you feel? Bet. I'll prove you wrong. As Rumi would turn around, stomping out the door and slam it, Izuku sort of looking back blankly as he would just turn his head and sigh. Here we go. And after a little while, Izuku will end up walking out of the whatchamacallit. End up walking out of the break room, and towards the arena. So as soon as he would get there, he would sort of look, as he would get inside of the arena, he would look over as he would see Mirko just doing push-ups and basically sort of like shadow boxing almost even. Yeah, basically just almost working herself out to get ready. She'd do like 15. I don't know what she would be doing in this time. She isn't tired, but she's warmed up. She ready to choke the nigga out them biceps. Them thunder thighs gonna kill. Ezekiel would just sigh as he would just sit up here ready to think that he's gonna win a very easy match. But is he wrong? As soon as Mirko would get out there, as soon as Rumi would get out there and Midnight would start the match. Also Mirko wouldn't have her UA shirt on over top of the tank top. She would just have her tank top on. Just small detail I wanted to add it. I also think she would nah. So yeah, she would just walk out and she would be ready. As the match would start, as Rumi would quickly speed blitz at Izuku. Izuku would quickly take out his wooden sword and block all of her attacks. And even dodging a few. Izuku, Rumi would throw. God damn! I'm about to take my time with this. Rumi would throw a solid kick to Izuku's head. Izuku, seeing this, wound up blocking it with his wooden sword by quickly putting it up next to his face and using his other hand to sort of support the blade. So when he gets kicked, he doesn't get sent flying or ends up having the sword hit him in the face. Izuku will sort of end up rolling over. As soon as he would get back up, he would end up causing holy water pores to fly from his arm and sling at Mirko. Mirko would simply just touch the not touch it. Mirko would just put up her arms to block it, as only small smoke will only steam up from it. Izuku would look extremely shocked, realizing that she isn't flinching, nothing. It doesn't affect her. Shit. As Izuku would basically be thinking this, as Miracle would throw a swift punch to Izuku's face, which Izuku only barely dodged. He would roll out of the way, sheathing his sword, jumping back a little bit. After that, quickly pulling out his whip and then throwing it, and then throwing a whip attack at Remy. Remy will only simply just dodge out the way and start running at Izuku again, throwing out another. I would say almost like an axe kick. She would basically run at Izuku, throwing a knee towards him, as Izuku would just simply put his hand down to catch the knee. But what Remy would do, she would basically use her leg to overpower Izuku's hand, and then use her foot to kick him in his chin. And basically sort of give him the Rock Lee treatment, sort of like how Sasuke was when Rock Lee hit him. He would just go into the air, but not by too much. He wouldn't be like floating there. He would almost be like standing up straight. As soon as Mirko would use the leverage of her kick to bring it up and then slam it down into Izuku's head, causing Izuku's face to get slammed into the ground. Mirko will end up jumping off Izuku's head, landing back a few feet. After like 5 seconds, only after a second, Izuku would end up putting out his hand and slamming it into the ground, lifting his face out of it. He would look up at Mirko, almost annoyed, or not even annoyed. He wouldn't even look up at Mirko. He would just get up, holding his head. That hurt like hell. Okay, I see how this is gonna go. Izuku would say this and quickly grab his whip, wrap it up, put it to his side, grab his sword, and draw it. He would look up at Mirko. Stand up fully, and rush towards her. Mirko would smile and say, see that. So you finally see me as a challenge? While Izuku was running up to her, Izuku would run up to her, and then, as it would look like he would almost sheath his sword again, Mirko would be confused as she would throw a punch, thinking that Izuku was going to plan something else. Thinking that Izuku was just going to do something like a Japanese sword style, sheath it again and then pull it out really fast. Izuku, he wouldn't. He would just make it look like that he sheathed his sword again. He basically just held it to his side, but twisted his body to make it look like that he sheathed it again. As soon as Remy would miss, and as soon as Izuku would dodge, he would look at her and say, "Nah, you're not really that much of a challenge." Boom! Izuku would quickly swing a sword upward, hitting Mirko at the bottom of it, hitting Mirko by her chin, basically sending her stumbling back a little bit. At this point, Izuku would reel back his sword as he would thrust it forward, hitting her in the stomach with it. And then after that, reeling it back again, and then her shoulder, then her other shoulder, then her leg, then her arm. He would basically just be jabbing her all over. Sort of like a rapier rapid jab. Boom, 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 boom. He would hit one in the middle of her thigh, one in one of her shoulders, one in another shoulder, one in her stomach. After that, the final strike he would get, he would quickly rate. Whatever strike he would get, he would sort of bend his elbow backwards and then put the sword behind his head like he was sheathing it right behind his back. And then pull forward and then push forward or slice forward to hit Mirko right in her collarbone. All with a wooden sword, I may add. This would basically end up hurting Mirko, sending her flopping to the ground. As soon as this would happen, not flopping to the ground, she would basically like take a knee almost from pain. As soon as this would happen, Izuku would just throw a straight, throw a straight thrust kick right to her chest, sending her falling back. Sending her falling back around a few feet. At this point, Miracle would be on the ground, say, see, look at this. As Izuku would be saying, see, look at this. All I have to do is try a little bit more harder than I thought I originally had to, and I win. I'm sorry, Mirko, but you might be a challenge for most, but I'm not the person that will be challenged by you. But we're still friends, though. Izuku would say this. Well, not giving a sarcastic smile, but sort of giving off like a, yeah, almost like a high smile, like somebody that's high would give you a smile as he would put up his thumb. Mirko would get up slowly as she would say, "Don't underestimate." I'm not gonna lie, bro. I can't think of any anime ass quotes right now. The best way I can justify this, she would basically yell at Izuku to not underestimate her, only because of her quirk. Izuku would simply say, "It's not only because of her quirk. It's not only because of her quirk why he underestimates her, but if she wants him to stop underestimating her, then she better prove herself to not be underestimated." Izuku will say this with getting in a, what's the best way to put it? Almost like a fencing stance. But like instead of his hand behind his back, it would be on his chest. It would be on his chest. So sort of like he's holding his chest in pain, but flat palm. After this point, Mirko would begin to run at Izuku. Izuku, of course, basically predicting her punch, will quickly just thrust forward to sort of like stab the bottom of her fist where it was gonna go, and basically causing her fist to turn into a palm, or sort of lose its grip almost. So basically, how he hit her at like the bottom of her wrist, he would hit her at a point where her fist would unball or stop balling up. As soon as that would happen, it would unball, and then after that, Izuku would just jab at her chest again, not her breast, at her chest, not the danglies, the chest, center of the collarbone, and then a little bit down, chest. Boom. Anyway, Izuku would end up hitting her chest as Mirko would sort of stumble back, but then throw out another punch. Izuku would just simply dodge. Throwing another swing at her. After that, reeling back his almost sort of like peeling it. So basically, Izuku has the sheath on his left side, and he draws out with his right hand. So he would basically, and he would have his left hand on his chest. He would bring his right hand around to his left side where his sheath is, and then swing upwards at Mirko, or from low left to high right. Ezekiel would do basically a low left to high right slash at Mirko, as she would just dodge and then throw. She would just not dodge. She would basically just put up her hand to block it, sort of knocking her guard down. No. She would only put up one hand to block it. She would basically have a fist balled up and ready to punch at Izuku. Izuku would see this coming and sort of move his body to the almost force himself to take a knee. So almost like he would get down on one knee and basically causing Mirko to completely miss him. Izuku using this leverage while he's on his knee to sort of kick backwards. Actually, he would use his leg that's bent from to be on one knee, not his leg that's shit. His left leg would be up and his right leg would be down on its knee. He would use his left leg to kick up and after that using his right leg to push back. Using his right leg to push back. The reason he did this is because as soon as Mirko missed, she would throw out a kick at him, and Izuku would completely dodge. So far, Izuku has only been hit twice. So far, and that's only with 2 kicks. After that point, Izuku really hasn't been hit again. Mirko getting agitated, she would basically just not scream, but she would grit her teeth and run forwards at Izuku. After that point, Izuku ended up parrying all of her attacks and then throwing a swing at her. Actually, no, and throwing a thrust simply to her face. Basically deciding that he was just going to end the match now. As he was just going to throw a simple thrust to her face to make her back up, but he decided to go for a wind pipe to stop the wind track, to stop basically from wind, basically, if you stop wind from traveling through the lungs while the person is swinging, or sort of, no, not even while they're swinging, if you stop wind from going into the lungs, it'll have the person temporarily pass out. Izuku was trying to do something like that. As soon as Izuku would try to, almost not lazily, but he would thrust pretty fast to do that, Mirko would end up dodging and then getting a strike right across his face. What the? Izuku would be confused and slightly stumble over as he would try to get himself back in posture to strike again, but he quickly got a knee to his gut and then an uppercut. And after this point, Mirko would proceed to basically just start putting the hands on Izuku. She would basically be hitting him with a stereotypical Dragon Ball Z combo: punch, kick, punch, 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 kick, 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 punch, 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 punch. And after a little while, she would basically end up using her elbow to hit Izuku in the chest to send him flying back. To send him flying back, basically to finish it off. As soon as Izuku would hit the ground, he would be almost confused as not only his lip is bleeding, his nose is slightly bloody. Only his lip would be bleeding as Izuku would groan to get up. Mirko ended up jumping up overhead and then trying to do a lunar kick, basically doing a backflip towards Izuku to do a lunar kick. Izuku would end up rolling out of the way as soon as Mirko would try to. So it would basically be like she would backflip towards Izuku and then land where Izuku was facing. And now Izuku has rolled out the way, so now they're both facing the same direction. And Izuku ended up swinging at her face. To try again to knock her out. Ryumi would quickly bring one of her hands up to basically block the blade, to block the wooden sword as it would knock her back. Not even knock her back, it would just block the sword. And after that point, she would end up bringing down one of her hands to put it on the ground and then push, sort of like kick forward, so while she's crouched. So, bing, bing. This will end up hitting Izuku on his side, sending him only a few feet away from Rumi. Rumi and Izuku will both. Rumi will quickly bounce up into the air, and Izuku will slowly get up and groans. Man, this is really starting to get bothersome. Let's say Izuku as he would get right back into posture he was. Izuku now basically ready to end the match as he can't take so much damage if he has to fight someone like Todoroki. So what Izuku would do is he would quickly do like a 2-step, sort of almost like how boxers step forward with like a almost like if you ever went to for tryouts for basketball or ever like was coached by someone who played basketball, they would all make you do like side steps similar to that. But he's like facing Mirko as he does a side step. So Izuku will quickly do that to get close to Mirko. As soon as he would do this, he would throw a slash at her. She would quickly jump back.
And she would jump back with one leg, and then use her other leg as soon as he landed on it to push forward, and then throw almost like a flying axe kick. No, just a flying straight quick kick. So it'd just be, yep, boom, just a flying straight kick. Yeah, almost like an arching kick. So yeah, she would jump back with one leg, use the other leg that she didn't jump back with to stop herself, and use the leg that she and after that she would use her other leg to jump forward. After that she would jump back with one leg, land on her other leg, then jump forward again, and then use her original leg that she jumped with to kick at Izuku. Damn, for anybody listening, they's going to sit through a few seconds of me just jibber-jabbering, of me not knowing what the hell to say. While this was going on, not while this was going on, she would throw this kick at Izuku, as Izuku did not expect this at all. As Izuku would get a swift kick to his nose, basically sending him backing up. As soon as this would happen, Mirko would reel back her fist, punching him in the face. Then again and again and again, multiple times with the same fist. Until the last and final hit wound up sending Izuku back, was sending Izuku flying and having him land flat on his back. Mirko will quickly end up jumping in the air, lifting her leg up in the air to have a drop kick on top of do a drop kick on top of Izuku's face. Izuku will put up his wooden sword to block it, but also move his face out of the way. When Izuku would block Mirko's kick, Izuku's sword would just get entirely snapped. As soon as this would happen, he would let go of the handle and spin around to get right back up. He would basically roll over and then trot and then quickly get back up on basically in a crouch position and lunge at Mirko or pounce at her. Soon as he would do this, he would quickly position himself to be on top of Mirko and with two of his knees on her arms so she couldn't move. Izuku doing this, he would throw around a multitude of punches at Mirko's face, before she would lift up her legs, wrap them around Izuku's head, and then throw it forward. And after that, using her legs to begin to choke Izuku. After this point, she would just yell at Izuku to tap out so this can all be over. Izuku, of course, not tapping out. He would begin to get serious, as while he's laying down, he realized that his legs are basically, she has no way to block it unless she uses her legs. And then after that point, fuck it, I'm just gonna explain it. Boom. Izuku would proceed to lift up one of his legs, which are near Mirko's chest, as he would quickly slam them down to kick her in the chest. Mirko would end up using one of her legs, her arms to block it. But after that, Izuku uses other leg to quickly lift it up and slam it into her stomach, causing her grip around his neck to loosen up. Izuku will quickly use his arms to quickly break out of Mirko's hold and then sort of roll backwards from her. When this would happen, Mirko would also quickly hop up and after that throw like a spinning, almost like a leaf. Nope, I'm not gonna make any more Naruto references. Fuck it, I'm gonna make another Naruto reference. Almost throwing something like a leaf, because I couldn't find any other way to explain it. Mirko would throw like a leaf hot wind. She would just throw another kick, continue spinning, throw another kick, then continue spinning, then throw another kick. Izuku won't end up Izuku would just end up ducking, jumping back, and jumping over the final kick, which would sweep her, which ended up sweeping him. But as soon as Izuku landed on his feet, he would almost like jump over Mirko, roll forwards, run over, and then grab his broken sword. Jump over and grab his sword. Mariko would quickly stand up and rush back at Izuku. Izuku, now being confused on where this sudden almost boost in power came from, as he's highly confused. As now Izuku is trying to think of as some way as a rabbit could just be doing shit like this. As soon as this would happen, Mirko would be running in front of Izuku, as she would just almost come to a standstill. At this point, Izuku will almost freeze, not knowing what she's doing. As not wanting to find out, he would try to jump back. As soon as this would happen, Mirko would sort of jump into the air, kicking off the ground, hitting a backflip. As this backflip will end up knocking the sword out of Izuku's hand. As soon as she landed again, on her tippy toes. She would lunge at Izuku, throwing a punch to his face. This punch would again send Izuku back a few feet. And again, like all the other times, Izuku would slowly get up, very confused. As soon as Izuku almost fully got up, Mirko would be rushing towards him and jump and then throw a drop kick, which would hit Izuku right in the face, launching him back once more further to the edge of the arena. People are now cheering that Mirko might win because I'm assuming, because people are like, oh, he's underestimating her. Just because of that, he's gonna lose now. Oh. At this point, Izuku will be just strongly confused on what's going on. How is he losing like this? As Izuku will quickly grab the whip from his side and pull it out. People will be bullying him immediately because not only Mirko is black, she's a woman. What is he assuming? That's a joke. Don't take that seriously. YouTube, please. Or anybody watching this. Anyway, Izuku will end up pulling out a whip and would end up pulling out his toy whip. And basically Mirko would be running at him again. And like every other time, Mirko would try to throw a punch. Izuku will basically end up countering her punch by lifting up his arm and sort of moving her fist out of the way. After that, lifting up his arm to hit her with his elbow. And after that, lunging forward, hitting her with a knee, and then an uppercut, and then an uppercut to sort of stun her, and after that, another just straight kick. After that, he would launch his whip at Rumi, as she would just put her arm up to sort of catch it. After that, grab it with what was left of her arm, pull it down towards her, and then stomp on it, yanking it out of Izuku's hand, making him stumble forward. She would quickly remove her foot from it and then lift it up to sort of hit Izuku with the handle, which she would succeed in. Izuku would back up again, further to the edge, as he would be panting. As he would be panting, as he would take a step forward, and another step, then another slight step forward. Mirko would be doing the same, and Mirko would do the same, as they both would just be staring at each other, waiting for one to do something else. Never let him know your next move. As Izuku, as it looks like Izuku is gonna run at Mirko and to throw a punch at her. Mirko, not expecting this, ready to counter. As soon as Izuku will throw his punch very much early, basically completely missing Mirko, causing her to be confused. As Izuku will continue to go to the ground, he will end up stopping himself with his hand and then throwing a kick. So how would this shit go? 1 second, hold on. So Izuku will end up throwing a punch and it would be too early, as he would end up falling towards the ground. He would touch, so it would be like, yeah, okay, I got it. So Izuku would end up throwing a punch and it would be too early, as his hand would hit the ground, as basically to stabilize himself. After this point, he would kick off with his other leg that was on the he would kick off one of his legs that wasn't suspended in the air from the punch, and then use the suspended leg to kick at Mirko. She did not expect this at all. Having this kick land right into her stomach. Izuku will kick off of her stomach. Deku will kick off of her stomach, sending her back a little bit. And after this point, Izuku will quickly get up and then rush at Mirko again. Mirko will throw a straight punch at Izuku. Izuku would duck under it and move behind her. Hitting her with an elbow in the back. And then once again, she would end up throwing a kick, which Izuku would duck under. And after this point, would duck under. And then after that, he would end up grabbing her leg and then sort of pushing her forward to send her to the ground. As Izuku would get over top of her again and then try to throw another punch to her face. She would quickly catch the punch. And then after that, try to bring her leg up to Izuku's stomach and kick him forward or kick him behind her while she's on the ground. But he wouldn't go too far as they're at the top of their heads are basically touching. They would turn around as they would sort of roll over, turn around and look back up at each other. Never mind. They would quickly turn around and get back up as they would be face to face, very close. As Mirko would try to throw a punch at Izuku, Izuku would end up moving a little bit closer to her face. Her being sort of not only flustered but also confused on what he was doing, so she would begin blushing. Mirko would end up missing her punch, basically having it wrap around Izuku's head. And after that point, Mirko would just be confused as how Izuku was looking at her. Her heart, it's thumping. What is this feeling? She would be feeling all of this until shock would feel the back of her. Until shock will flow through her body as she would be confused, as she would be almost stunned. As she would see a slight smug on Izuku's face as he would pull back on her ears even more, as she would be confused. Not confused. She would just be cursing and lost. Izuku would basically will end up pulling her to the edges as Mirko would just be yelling, No, stop, wait, please, stop. As Mirko would be standing up and Izuku would just simply put his leg behind hers, pull her ears hard enough for her to tug backwards, almost basically kicking herself out on her own as she would end up falling out of the ring. Her head was gonna hit the ground pretty hard. Already fucked it up. Mirko would be falling back but before she could hit the ground, Izuku would end up grabbing her arm. After that, lowering her down gently and then letting her go. So her head didn't hit the ground too hard. Rumi Yoshigato loses. Izuku Midoriya is the winner. Some people would, that's a lot. Everybody would be cheering as Izuku would basically just smile at Rumi. I guess I was wrong to underestimate you. You gave me more of a problem than I thought. Rumi would basically look up at Izuku, sort of confused and upset, but she would just end up sighing and say, Yeah, next time I won't lose. Izuku would simply just look at him and say, yeah, sure. Mirko would bring up her hands to join Izuku as Izuku would pull her up, as they would help each other to walk to recovery girl's office. As I've already stated before, the Izuku would just get fucking demolished by Todoroki. That's why I retconned it, so I just didn't end that goddamn quick. And also to build up some more relationship between Izuku and Mirko. So, that'll be all for today. I don't know how long this thing is. Maybe like an hour and some odd minutes. But, what time? I saw this. Golly. But basically, that'll be all for today. Next time I'll be doing the recruitment ship. Ezekiel will be going to Midnight's agency to learn how to use a whip better. I don't remember if Midnight's agency. No, it was Mount Lady's internship, or somebody else's internship that did something like that. But either way, I'll see you all next time. Please like, subscribe, share, comment if you want to see anything further on from this point. And have a nice day to all.